Hello, listeners. Wanted to welcome you for another podcast episode. Yesterday, we interviewed Star Hall, who's done very well in the program, and David Koch has joined us. He's nothing short of star, and so just one of the selfishly, what's so awesome is we handpick the clients that we work with. We're looking for well-educated professional dads. A lot of them are from BYU, although they don't have to be, and David has just graduated our 3 months program and has been a 10 out of 10 type of client anyone would want to work with, just in terms of coachability and making things happen. So David, thanks for carving out a little work time and joining us today and being willing to share.
Yeah, good to talk with you.
So why don't we'll shine the spotlight on you today. If you don't mind, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Personally, professionally, hobbies, hikes, just anything you want to share, just so the audience knows a little bit about who you are.
All right. Yeah, David Koch again, and I'm 48, and I live in Las Vegas. Lived here for a while. I grew up actually in Las Vegas, and then went away for school, and then church mission was in Russia, and then went to law school out in Chicago, California, working. Eventually, about 14 years ago, I ended up back here in Las Vegas. And so it's a place I like, and climate may be a little bit better in California, but Las Vegas is a place I feel like is home. And 48, like I said, been married for about 25 years this year. We're going to go on a big anniversary trip that got canceled due to COVID and everything. But it's been married a while, have 4 kids, and I'm a practicing attorney. Been an attorney for about 20 years, which sometimes is not the most active of jobs, and is one that I think is potentially prone to people kind of focusing on work over a lot of other things. And I started off with a big firm out in California, and it was about 14 years ago, decided to come back here, Las Vegas, start up a small firm. We've got 4 attorneys here, and I've enjoyed it, and just continued to plug away in that way. And as far as hobbies and things, I love sports. Been enjoying hockey a lot more since the Vegas has got their team. It's been a lot of fun. And then myself, we back up to kind of a wilderness area, and I love hiking, go out, do a lot of hikes, and do a lot of stuff that climb up the mountains, and done a lot of running in the past, although the last little while, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I kind of hurt my knee, and so kind of sidelined me from that. Running marathons and all those types of things. But historically, I played rugby, had been athletic, and then the career and everything else kind of takes its toll, and you start realizing you're maybe not in as good of shape, or you kind of knew that all along. And I've sort of always tended toward being heavier than I should be, because I think I love food more than maybe I should. And so that's part of the process, and kind of what brought me to connect with you, Tyson, on this. And it's a little bit of my background, I would say.
Yeah, that's great. And you segued perfectly. I was going to ask you, basically, I know I had reached out to you. Were there certain things that you'd want to elaborate on that prompted you to make the financial investment and join the tribe? You talk about career and how that's so easy for it to take over in our life, and maybe just some of the thoughts or feelings that prompted you to have the courage to break some habits and do something different.
Yeah. And so like I said, I've always had, I think all of us there's probably only a few people in the world that feel like I'm in perfect shape and I'm happy with exactly how I am. I think we all probably want to get a little bit better. And so over time, there have been times I've been in better shape than others. And then, I've also done lots of times where, whether with siblings or with friends, I'll do, hey, let's do a little contest to lose weight and these things. And I tend to do that, and I'm successful, but it's not something that really sticks. And like a lot of people, I've done a lot of the things like the keto or different types of diets that they definitely work, but I just got to the point of this is not sustainable. What's sustainable? And so when you and I got in contact, I can't remember if it was through LinkedIn or email, however it came about, but and kind of describe your philosophy and thought process of this is something that is for dads, I suppose. I'm not trying to be an uber athlete. I'm not trying to make it to the Olympics or anything like that. But I have a realistic thought process of being in the type of shape that would be helpful for me. And I think even professionally, being in good physical shape has significant benefits also for my family and just the way I feel. And kind of the long-term strategy that this is not a, hey, in a month you're going to look like $1 million, and maybe you will, I don't know, but that's not the intention. And I've kind of, I think over the last several years just kind of come to that conclusion that, look, I could do a lot of things and be successful with that, have some super hyper aggressive goal to run this or do this and get down a certain weight by a certain time. And I've done that a lot and with mixed results. But ultimately my intention was, or hope was, hey, I need to do something that's, I'll say, slow and steady for me. That is an actual change of how I'm doing things. And part of that is kind of accountability. I think when we first talked, I said, I want somebody that they'll hold me accountable and just kind of talk through that and know what I'm eating. My wife can certainly do that, but sometimes I think that's not, what you want to have your, spouse saying you got to do this, or, you're varying from your diet. And I'm not sure that's always great for marital harmony. And so when you and I talked just kind of about that thought that you provide that coaching and just the accountability, be able to check in, see what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and knowing that as I'm kind of tracking my own food for myself, I also have somebody else who's looking at that and kind of coaching and encouraging along. And for me, I mean, I think there's a benefit to paying a cost for something that you feel like is of value to you. And I've listened to a lot of things about having kind of the negative incentive as an encouragement for people. Say, I'm going to donate $10,000 to my least favorite charity, or whatever it may be, or some political candidate I can't stand if I don't hit this goal. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll do that, or some penalty for this or that. And those things, I feel like in some ways are not really realistic unless I'm going to set some crazy amount. And then my wife's saying, like, what are you doing? And so for me, I think I felt like paying for this type of coaching and service was kind of a reality check, feeling like I'm making an investment towards something. I wanted to, I'll say not hurt a little bit, but be something it's not insignificant, and think that I'm getting this benefit out of it. And I think that helps add value. So I think that's kind of what brought me to it. And I think it's definitely met what I had hoped or expected to have when we first talked.
Wow, that's very well. You captured what we hear a lot. Accountability being probably amongst the chief requests that come across my desk anyway. So that's really good. So you've been in the program a little over 3 months. Just to maybe compliment and embarrass you just a little bit here. One of the things we try to do within the program is, of course, focus on the scale, the pictures, the transformation, no doubt, because everyone wants that, but also non-scale victories and insights. And we keep a running sort of like a highlights wall in our group of insights that dads share along the way. And for those who are listening, David was just like, every time he would share something on our Marco Polo thread as we were talking, it was like, oh man, another post by David that goes on the highlights wall for things like here's what a handful of chocolate chips, how that adds up over a year, and you calculated that yourself. And just so I loved the insights that I learned from you. But do you want to just maybe share any of the results that you've seen over the last 3 months, both scale victories and maybe even more importantly, lifestyle victories or insights along the way?
Yeah, sure. And so originally I can't remember exactly when I started. I was a little over 260, like 262, 263, something like that. And I went down to low 250s, and it's I've kind of bounced around there a little bit. This morning when I weighed myself, I was right at 250, and I'm trying to get down to the 240s. And so, yeah, it's 12, 13, 14 pounds, which is for me in that kind of a period, I think is exactly what I've been hoping for. I mean, I could, probably starve myself and, run 10 miles a morning and been down 20, 30 pounds, but I know with the guarantee that I was not going to be maintain that. And I've had, many times where I've built up that sort of also kind of a deficit in a way where you come back and you rebound back. And I think anybody who's dealt with that kind of situation knows that all too well. And so to me, the kind of 1 pound a week, 2 pounds a week, that's really what I was looking for, because I think that's a more sustainable pace and lets my body adjust and doesn't say, okay, now you're eating 1,000 calories a day and you're burning 1,500 just with exercise. I'm going to really cycle down and slow your metabolism down and everything else. So for me, it was set a calorie goal that is in that range that'll help me lose a pound, maybe 2 pounds a week, and make that be the primary target. So poundage, that's kind of what where it's been. I've noticed a significant difference. I mean, I think one of the first things you tend to notice is the clothes and how they start fitting or fitting differently. And had a bunch of pants that I bought not that long ago, and now they're you start cinching up the belt, and the pants start folding up underneath the belt line, which is always a good and a bad feeling. Bad that it's not that probably aesthetically pleasing to be wearing those, but it feels really good in that way. And my wife has commented that you just feels like you're much trimmer, and even that 12 to 13 pound difference, depending on how your weight is kind of allocated, it makes a big difference. And the scale itself, I think, is one thing, and who knows from day to day whether you got a little more muscle, a little less fat, a little more water, whatever it may be. It's more kind of the overall trend. But I felt that difference, and I just feel the difference from just kind of mentally as well. I think there are times where I was having stretches where I felt like by the afternoon I was just so fatigued. And I know that part of that is I'm not 25 anymore and don't have the same kind of energy. But I think just the food choices have an impact there. And so I feel like I learned a lot of lessons in the way of how to put myself in the calorie range where I wanted to be. One of those is just the intermittent fasting. Most days I try to not eat in the morning. I've noticed that even when I eat, if I'm eating healthy in the morning and I'm eating eggs or some other stuff, and it's 300-400 calories, say, I'm always amazed how much harder it is to stay under my target, even though it's not a huge breakfast. And different people can be different ways, but for me that worked, where I said, all right, if I skip, try to drink a lot of water, do those kinds of things, keep me at least going through about noon-ish, I was able to feel like I didn't think about food as much in the morning. And that's always been something for me where historically I said I love food, and I love good food, love eating, just love the process of eating, not necessarily anything else about it. But so if I said in the morning I'm not going to eat, it helped kind of take my mind off of that and not think, okay, what am I going to eat this meal? What am I going to eat next meal? And I think that's an issue that a lot of people, a lot of us have when we weigh more than we should, and we just start thinking about when's the next meal? When can I eat next? And if you get that out of your mind and think, I'm eating for a purpose, I need a certain amount of calories, and what am I going to do? What does my body need, rather than what do I feel like I want to put in my mouth just to enjoy it? It kind of shifted my mindset in that way. And so that's where I think I feel like over the last 3 months it's really changed my mentality about how I think about just food in general. I still love good food, and I'm not out there eating tofu and lettuce all day long. I don't think I would get by with that, but I've been able to kind of change its place for me, where I'm not thinking about it as regularly as I used to before. When I do have it, I can enjoy it, but not necessarily, I don't say obsess over it, but at least be kind of distracted in that way, or overly focused on it.
Yeah, very good. So, someone could, and by the way, so David has graduated from the 3 month program, and then we still provide the community aspect so that you'll have ongoing support and continue making a lifestyle out of this. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, what we're talking about is the real hands-on kind of first 12 weeks to get awareness, to learn the program, to get some hand holding. Um, so someone could go out and hire a personal trainer in a gym. Someone could go get a book or an ebook that's kind of one size fits all. Go do this, um, or they could do some kind of coaching and accountability. And you talked about this for a second, David, but I'm wondering if maybe just a taste test, like 30 seconds to a minute, when we talk about your willingness to track, when we talk about mindset and Marco Polo, just kind of like if you were to describe how we try to support and hold people accountable from your experience, knowing that most people listening to this aren't familiar with how we help people. Do you mind just kind of describing that and sharing your experience real quick? Marco Polo, nutritional tracking, analysis that we tried to provide, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I use my Fitness Pal just for calorie tracking, which I've done before. I think it's helpful to have that just to be able to keep track of those things for yourself, and then enabled it so that you could have access to that and review the food that I ate over the week, and then would check in with you, or you review it and send a Marco Polo video, just kind of reviewing the information, providing your thoughts on what's going well, what might be improved, and just suggestions so that we knew kind of on a regular basis how kind of how I was doing. And I mean, I kind of know how I'm doing in a way just by how I feel, but having that regular check-in is helpful. And I'm not a big social media, or I've never didn't use Marco Polo at all before, but that was helpful for me to have that where I didn't have to necessarily schedule a specific time for a call and then have that, but it was when it was available, when I could respond, and then be able to check in that way. And so I think those tools were helpful for me to be able to have some consistency and regularity on tracking and checking in with you on that basis.
Good. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. We've found that too with me driving all over rural Missouri and limited cell phone reception and different time zones, different meeting schedules, having that kind of that video walkie-talkie, for lack of a better word, on demand. You got a question or whatever, you want to get an answer now and not have to schedule a meeting or a group call for a week from now. So we found our dads really like that part of it and accountability. So
Yeah.
well, you've shared a lot. You mentioned your wife noticing the clothes fitting differently. You're a family man. You're a community leader. You wear a lot of different hats. Anything else you'd want to share in terms of how this has, I guess, helped your life, or maybe for someone who's, I guess this is kind of your parting words of wisdom question. Someone's listening to this, maybe they're 20 to 100 pounds overweight and they want to have more balance and confidence and get this dialed in. Just things you've learned or advice for them, or
Yeah, I mean, I think it really is. I mean, it can be daunting when you think I'm 100 pounds overweight. How long is that going to take? But you're either going to be 100 pounds overweight, 10 years from now, or you can be somewhere else. And to me, it's all about the small stuff. And one of my favorite books called The Slight Edge, and it just talks about the things you do each day. You don't notice the difference they make that day, but over time, they make a big difference, and you has an impact on exactly what you're doing. In that same way, like relate the chocolate chips, where I thought a little handful of chocolate chips, oh, it's just a little snack, and maybe that day that handful might be the 150 calories or so. That's not going to make me gain 100 pounds, but if I do that every day, and you start adding that up, and you realize over a period of time, it adds up a long time. And so for me, it was the small things, and just thinking, I'm not going to be frustrated if I ate well today and tomorrow the scale says I'm a little bit higher than I was yesterday, because I know that if I keep doing this, I know I will be where I want to be. It's just going to take patience. And to have that kind of a mentality or focus to me was the biggest thing. And just knowing that I'm going to feel better if I do this. I'm going to be have more confidence in myself, just in the way I look, feel, and everything else. And I've lived this way for long enough, and um, I can be patient with moving ahead and taking a long-term approach. So, 3 months have been in the program has made a difference, and I feel like it's changed my mentality going forward, so that I don't say, okay, I'm done now. It's just continuing to move forward in the same way, not making some drastic change, but just to be consistent. And those small changes will, I know, make a difference in the long term. So I feel more confident coming out of it, and I think it's been a good program for me in that way, and certainly would recommend with someone with that same kind of mentality who's not looking to get into the swimsuit next month or something like that. That's their goal. Maybe a different program might work, but if you're looking to change your life and your lifestyle, I think this has been a very helpful part of my life.
Well, hats off to you. Certainly celebrate what you've done. Change is hard for individuals. It takes courage and humility, and it's not easy for most people. And you're just another inspiring story of a working professional dad who's doing it. So thanks for taking some time today and sharing your words of wisdom, and excited to continue our conversations and watch you succeed, David.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and good to talk with you.
You bet.